Hello, everyone, and welcome to this latest edition, the August 30th, 2022 edition of the Boxing Source Radio Show. I'm your host, James Bell, the leader of the Boxing Source. You can check us on social media through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and also through the YouTube channels. And this podcast is also going to be available, if you're listening live through YouTube, but it'll also be available on multiple podcast apps. Of course, you got Spotify, you got iHeartRadio, you got iTunes, you got Amazon Music, um, all of your favorite podcast apps you can think of. We're pretty much on those, and we're gonna try to go through as much topics as we can here in this particular episode. We had like a few things that had been going down last weekend that we're gonna try to get into here a little bit. We had like a card that was part of the top ranked telecast on ESPN on Saturday. That was headlined by Jose Pedraza versus Richard Comey. That one, had two fighters there within that was, bouncing within the lightweight and super lightweight divisions. This particular fight was in the super lightweight division. Two fighters that had four losses up to this point in this particular career. They, both lost their last bouts, before going into this. So this was a a crossroads bout to say the least. Um, you know, uh, you had Pedraza, who lost by unanimous decision to Jose Carlos Ramirez there at 140 pounds. Of course, Jose Ramirez is the former unified champion who did fall short to becoming undisputed champion at 140 pounds. And then for Richard Comey, he had campaigned for an extended period of time there at the 135 weight limit. In his last bout before this one, he had lost by unanimous decision to Vasyl Lomachenko. So this bout here was more of like I said, a crossroads bout. Whoever won this thing, pretty much kind of like extended his career. The other one didn't necessarily, or the loser would basically be, out of the mix, so to speak, and probably would have had to consider seeing if he wanted to continue their career. But we had both of these fighters that had I would say had done their thing for portions of the bout. Some there were some where you had an advantage in the case of Jose Pedraza with what he was doing, and other cases Richard Comey was getting the better of Pedraza. Was like a mix, a little bit of ebbs and flows, but nothing that really kind of like wowed people, so to speak. You know what I mean? So uh, it had gone through those full 10 rounds, and you had the judges there in attendance go through the scorecards. You had one judge scored 7 rounds to 397-93 in favor of Richard Comey. You had another judge scored 6 rounds to 496-94 in favor of Jose Pedraza. And then one judge scored it 95-95, and it ended up being a split draw. So nobody really moved. Nobody really moved the needle on what was going down in this particular fight. Like I said, the winner could have had a little bit more action at the 140-pound division. There were some people that were saying that, hey, maybe if Pedraza could have won, that he could have been in a bout near the end of this year, right? Some people were talking about him potentially facing, Teofimo Lopez at the end of this year, or pretty much around that. What would you say, that Heisman weekend? Where Teofimo Lopez is usually featured on Heisman weekend. So they're trying to see if they can put it back on for Heisman weekend, but they got to find an opponent for him. You know what I mean? So it could have been like Jose Pedraza or something like that. But with this being a draw, that really didn't move anything at the 140-pound division. You got those two fighters there now, with a draw on their record. Pedraza 29-4-1. Richard Comey now is 30 wins, 4 losses, and 1 draw, right? So, I mean, it's just something where, you kind of like just say, hey, you throw your hands up and say, oh, well, I mean, they tried to, do what they could do, but it didn't really turn out to be enough for either fighter to get a definitive decision in that bout. So you had that went down between those two combatants. There was part of the card there at the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Tulsa, Oklahoma, which included a couple of other bouts that were on the main ESPN card that started at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time. That's right, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time was when that ESPN portion of the Top Rank card started, and it was opened up by fighter there Richard Torres Jr. within his third professional bout in a 6-round bout against Marco Antonio Canedo. And that one, you talk about a mismatch. That was an absolute mismatch. Canedo was 4 wins and 2 losses. He had 2 consecutive losses. But man, Richard Torres, man, listen, I don't even know, if they should have went through or if they should have approved that bout. You know what I'm saying? Because, Richard Torres just blasted that dude, within that 1 round. And it almost got so bad that he almost was really bad for, the guy. So, I mean, what? He had to, pretty much was on his feet there, Canedo, but they almost like had him sent to the hospital because he almost got knocked clean out. But before I go through a little bit more here, wanted to add in the guest here checking in, hasn't checked in a while. It's Lazy Lefty in the building here, real quick to, talk some boxing with us. What's going on, Lefty?
Yeah, what's going on? Every time you send me a link, I'm always out doing something.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I'm pretty much like
It's like
out.
the first Tuesday evening I've been free in a long time.
Oh, word, yeah, but yeah, usually, I usually don't do things on Tuesday evenings, but it's just been mad busy, what I'm saying, for the past few weeks or so, whatnot. So try to fit it in, do things this week. So I'm doing this podcast here on a Tuesday, and we kind of like talked about that card that happened on Saturday a little bit earlier. I just mentioned the thing there, Richard Torres in an absolute mismatch.
Yeah.
And kind of like goes into discussion about um, these prospects, quote unquote prospects, being featured on primetime cards. And I know that
Yeah.
they try to fill up slots, TV slots and things for fighters, but years back we really didn't have that. We had these
Yep.
guys just fighting. You could fight guys that are like 5-17 or like 2-12. But they didn't really have like somewhere they were seriously hurting those 12 losses. But now we're getting to see that on prime time, television. Whether it's ESPN, ESPN Plus, or FS1. Sometimes that we get this, and it's sometimes it may end up being good for the fighters that they try to feature, but also it could end up being bad in some cases because either fans may not want to see that or they might get into a point where they trip up. And we've seen a couple of them, lose in a sense, man. So that's the thing that we got to watch out for with these prospects out here being featured.
Yeah, I do not like seeing that at all. I'm not a like me. I'm a squeamish person. So when I know it's a mismatch and I'm just seeing somebody getting their head beat in, I can't watch stuff like that. I'm very squeamish when it comes to. I mean, I can watch a bad knockout because if I know 2 guys are are evenly matched. Sometimes you just catch a
Mm-hmm.
guy, but when I know it's a gross mismatch and somebody's just getting beat to death, that makes me very uncomfortable.
Mm.
But I talked
Yeah.
about this earlier today. I don't know. Did you hear me on the space talking about this earlier today?
Nah. I was like,
Oh yeah, yeah. I talked about the same thing earlier today. People are getting saying that people, well, these are prospects. This is what happened. But like you said, we didn't usually see this on TV. You didn't see Mike Tyson
mm-hmm.
in his 8th fight or his 7th fight on HBO being featured. So a
Right.
lot of this stuff it happened off TV. Like I said, I always joke about, they call me co-main lefty because I don't want to see all these undercard fights. But but the point is, I would rather see, like somebody was talking about Eddie Hearn undercards with Ted Cheeseman. But my point is, I'd rather see Ted Cheeseman in an evenly matched action fight on an
mm-hmm.
undercard than to see this prospect, even though he's a big prospect and he's 3-0 or 4-0, whatever. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
see that. I'd rather see a
Right.
veteran in an evenly matched fight, which an exciting fight than some prospect. But I understand they're paying these guys a lot of money, so they got to get them known a lot
Mm-hmm.
sooner than it used to. It used to be a guy could sit back, not have to worry about TV and develop off TV. And then when he's ready for TV, they put him on TV.
Yeah, exactly. Like you mentioned the thing there with Ted Cheeseman, or like you could have a Sam Eggington versus Ted Cheeseman on a matchroom card, but you kind of like see those like mid card level guys, like if we compare the wrestling thing or whatever it is, but you had mid card level guys. It wasn't like in a squash match. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So that's what we're seeing now on primetime TV is boxes and squash matches. But like you said, there, like with me bringing up the Torres fight, that could have been a really bad situation where you have a guy that probably didn't really belong in the ring against Richard Torres and ended up getting seriously hurt and could have been a lot worse. And do you want to have something like that on primetime ESPN thing or whatnot? When it's guys that are like we say 2-0, 3-0. You know what I mean?
yeah. And another thing they want to talk about, like the KSI Swarms fight this weekend.
Hmm.
This past weekend, you're talking about, well, this is a spectacle, this is that. They had a better undercard than the Top Rank did.
Man.
It was a better undercard, a more professional undercard that you would put on than Top Ranks was.
Hmm.
So you can't sit up here and criticize these guys when you're not doing any better than they are.
Yeah, word. Yeah, word. Want to add in another columnist in for the conversation. Checking in, it's the boxing academic. They're from the Atlanta area. What's going on, boxing academic?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? How y'all doing?
Great,
Oh,
great.
doing good. Checking in. Yeah. It's bringing in the point because this is kind of like mentioned in the Twitter world with one columnist there, Mr. Adam Abramowitz, kind of like brought it up as far as like we didn't see these on prime time things like even to the extent of like when you had USA Tuesday night fights they had better uh better matches. The matchmakers were better in making those matches and kind of like not having those fighters featured in quote unquote squash matches, like I said. So it's like now you're seeing someone like Richard Torres, or like how they had Nico Ali Walsh featured in his first couple of fights, or someone like that. Like even with the guy that Lefty is talk with Tiger Johnson. Like he was like on the ESPN Plus portion there, but we don't necessarily see those like young prospects being in the game so early, being featured on television, whether it's regular cable or premium cable or whatever it is. So we got to see like how this is going to work out with these promotional companies working out these television deals and getting these dates set in for putting on boxing, because sometimes it could end up being a good thing and sometimes it could be a bad thing in that and that portion with William Torres, or not William Torres there, but Richard Torres Jr. and Marco Canedo. Yeah, that was almost a real bad situation there in that opening bout that happened on ESPN. Real quick, boxing academic. You had something. You have any input on that before I bring on another guest on with us
On what part now?
on the opening bout on ESPN, that top ranked ESPN card.
Remind me what it was.
The Richard Torres joint. When he knocked out Marco Canedo in the first round, and Canedo was almost like sent to the third dimension or something like that. It was like on live TV.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything to say.
All right, gotcha. All right, I want to bring in this next guest that's been a guest on for the past few shows. Thankful for him coming on here once again. Let me see if he could check in here. Let's see if Clever, you checking in here?
Yeah, I was texting Lefty. I saw that he was on the show. Did I just miss him?
Yeah, you just missed him.
Ah, that hurts. But what's up?
Yeah.
What's up?
Oh man, yeah, all good. Just running through this, that card that happened on Saturday night here first before, kind of like getting into more topics here in boxing, man. So I was talking about the thing there with Richard Torres, but we'll see, what else is. We'll have a more like that Jared Anderson fight too, but
Oh, he's back. He's back.
Yeah, my bad. I accidentally kicked the internet out the wall.
Left.
So yeah, y'all, we're talking about these prospects that
Left.
be like 2-0, 3-0, and whatever it is. You know what I'm saying?
What's good, Clem? I see you. Hey, I left out on the part you said Adam brought up. What? That's the part I got disconnected.
Oh yeah, the thing about those prospects, like how they they're having them featured more, in these cards when we really didn't have that 4, 5, 10 years ago. Like we didn't see them joints on like USA Tuesday Night Fights or some of the other cards that were featured. Like we didn't see something like that on HBO. Like even to an extent to like Boxing After Dark, you really didn't see those 2-0, 3-0 guys. You probably saw guys that were like 8-0, 10-0, 14-0 or something like that. But like those first few fights, nah, you didn't see them on those.
Yeah, they're paying these guys so much money nowadays. They have to put them on TV.
Mm-hmm.
With these big bonuses for signing and stuff like that. Yeah, so they have to put them on TV. That's why you see.
Yep.
Like me, I don't really care to see a guy until he's taking that first step up fight. Maybe the 16th fight or whatever. Usually when guys start stepping up,
yeah,
when they're ready for TV, that's when I want to see them.
Yeah, like you don't want to see them developing on national TV or whatever it is. You don't want to see like most of their falls being shown on their second and third fight. I mean, so, but I mean that's like part of what is going on there with a lot of these cards, and the thing with Top Rank is they got a good amount of prospects that are out there that don't have that many professional fights, so they have to feature a lot of them on there. But after that fight, you did also have the real big baby, as they call him, Jared Anderson, in the ring against Miljan Ravkanin, where Jared Anderson was coming in there with a record of 11-0. Ravkanin came in there with a record of 24-2, and Jared Anderson hadn't been in the ring for a good little while. And then just got in there with it pretty much like show how much potential he actually has there against Miljan Ravkanin, and kind of like switch things up. He was in a what was it, like a southpaw stance, and changed back to orthodox, and kind of like took out Ravkanin in 2 rounds. And took him out with a clean knockout. And they're saying like he's the next real big prospect out there in the heavyweight division, and the next U.S. prospect. And he did kind of like call out Filip Hrgović after this fight, but I don't think we're really gonna see him in those type of matches anytime soon, though. But he does have that potential to really be a very, very good heavyweight. And of course, we've heard about the stories about him in the gyms, and sparring against guys, sparring against Efe Ajagba, sparring against Tyson Fury, and all that. So they, a lot of these people give Jared Anderson, high praise, but where is he currently in the heavyweight division? Or where do you feel that he is currently in the heavyweight division at this point?
Full disclosure, I did not watch the fight.
That's like a certain person.
No.
Hold on. What was that, Clever?
Going. I was saying you didn't end up going to the fight. That was in.
Oh no! Something came up. I didn't end up going. That's why I didn't really get to. I only saw like the Torres fight, and that was about it.
Word. Yeah, you didn't miss much. Just because as good as Top Rank's matchmaking is, man, they're not gonna put their prospects to anyone in there than So that's
Hold on, y'all. You see it chopping? Yeah, he's like breaking up.
Okay.
Yeah, Clever, you're like breaking up on the joint. I don't know.
One sec.
Yeah, like he was breaking up on that joint. Yeah, I mean, my thing is that I talk with the trainer a lot, and I know people that are real close with his head trainer Derry Riley, and they said they want to bring him along slow there at Chop Rank, and I see like there is a couple of fighters out there.
Jay?
Yeah, that's sounding a little bit better. Yeah, it sounds a little bit better.
Testing. Yeah. I was saying they're matchmaking though. I was just saying they're not going to put those guys in there with anyone who they're not going to for surely beat. A high 80% chance. But I'm high on Tiger actually. I like him and Big Baby, of course. I think Tiger, he looked a little stiff in the legs, but everything up top, brains and jab and fast hands. He's just in a tough division, welterweight, but he's right there. He's ready. I mean, when I say ready, just like you can move along, you can move him. You can move him. He's going to have to be because, what's going to happen is if they hold up, bad things can happen then. Because they're all of age is what I'm getting at, 24. They're all Devin Haney's age or older. And then Big Baby, for a second, I thought he was coming in lazy, but everything what they say is true on him, right? He's been in the gym. He's one of the rare ones, right? Rare heavy American heavyweights being in there at a single age. And he knows how to box, man, because he took that guy out in 2 rounds, because that guy was trying to act like he was doing something by moving a lot, but then old boy broke him down just the IQ, the effective punching, the effective aggression, because he was coming forward and letting his hands go on that body. So he knows how to box, man. I don't really care too much for all that switch game and all that stuff. If I was the opponent, I would just have to be sparring guys, who are Southpaw and Orthodox. So, but yeah, I like Tiger and Big Baby, and then the Richie Torres, that was dope, right? Face plant that guy, and then man, they robbed Pedraza, right? He should have won that. If you're gonna score that, effective punching, effective aggression, and defense and ring generalship, because he only got hurt once, and that was early on when Comey was putting on the pressure. And he was letting his hands go. That was probably the 3rd or 4th time maybe that I've seen him really let go like that. So that's like a true Comey style. But the effective aggression and defense by Pedraza, because he knows how to box, plus he's that southpaw. He was getting in and out of position. He was slipping a lot of that. He was just real frail. So all that power was, looked like he was whooping his ass. But he won that fight, man. I want to see Keyshawn Davis and Comey go at it, and then I'll shut up.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Hold on. You say you want to see who?
Keyshawn Davis and Comey go at it. That'd be a nice step up for Keyshawn, because
when next year?
I said, yeah, in his next two fights for sure. Because like I said, I'm high on Tiger. Tiger got it all up top. And, all the other high prospects they got, like the Xanders and the Keyshawns, those guys headhunt too much for me. I want to see a complete game. So, that's why I would go over to Jose Venezuela, because I've seen his last, 3 fights. And, his last guy, Comey, beat his ass. But like, what I like from Venezuela Rayo is that he's got a complete boxing game. Like if he gets hurt, he can go over the long, because he's been fighting more 10-rounders. And that's another thing I don't like about those prospects. They're fighting 6 and 8 when really they should be fighting 10 and getting ready for 12, because that's what they're sparring.
It's about what they're trying to adjust to, especially if they're coming from the amateurs. So you're not gonna have them come off those 3 or 5 round amateur fights and then have them jump into 10 rounders, unless if you're like overaged amateur, like a certain fighter was. But that's a whole nother thing.
But Jay, like they at least have at least 50 amateur fights. All those guys.
Yeah, at least 50. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But they're Olympians, man. Those guys know how to box, man, and been in the game for a long time, like growing up. So, and I'm just purely, I'm talking about the whole game, but like since more so American boxing, those guys. What I'm saying is, you can move a little more faster, man, because right now they're putting them in there with nobodies. Like guys who also have fought nobodies. So it's hard to gauge them. And then when you stack them up against, like, if you ask me, like I'm not trying to be a PBC homer, but like I really like, even though the guys on Top Rank like are better boxers, like a little more athleticism and things like that. But Jesus Ramos, the David Pacheco's, like those guys will win in a boxing match, I think. So. I want to see, and those guys have been nice, movely nice as well, with some step ups. It's a lot of talent in the game, man. It's a lot right now, and I think Shakur is next as soon as Tank gets out of the way. But Tank is the man.
But on this thing about the transition from amateur to pro, like they do, like the 3 rounders there in the amateurs, and sometimes they have instances where they fight multiple times in a day. Like, I had a, recent conversation that is like on the YouTube channel with, one fighter that, talks about, having those 3 fights a day or whatever it is. But, you still have the transition from, going from like a certain type of gloves to another type of gloves when you're a professional, having the headgear on as an amateur to not having headgear on as a pro. Going through that particular transition is something, really different, to where, they don't, from a safety perspective, they don't want to have these fighters start out the gate as a professional in like 8-round to 10-round bouts. So, and even with an extensive career as an amateur, they still won't like allow them to have fights that are like 8-rounders and 10-rounders. That's why they start with like 4, and then gradually move over to 6, and then 8, and then 10. So that's kind of like how they move or bring along fighters that just start out in the professional ranks there.
All of them too, though. All of them move like that. Everybody does. Everybody. I know. Bear with me. I'm just impatient.
Oh yeah. What was I about to say? Like Torres, he has 3 fights so far. That was his third or 4th fight.
Yeah, that was his third.
Yeah,
and
he's nice.
Another thing I want to touch on is also, if you're going to be putting them on TV. Excuse me. If you're going to be putting them on TV every time out, they're not going to be able to fight as much early in their career.
Yeah.
Where guys will fight shit. Look at Tyson's first year fighting. I think he fought like 8 times or so his first year.
Yeah, like almost 4 times in 6 weeks or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Where you basically is just keeping them active, keeping them in the gym, keeping them away from,
that's right.
Getting used to going through training camp, your body getting used to going to training camp, stuff like that. Excuse me. So yeah, that's another issue with these young prospects fighting on TV.
Yeah,
is that they're not getting the reps in, that the rounds and the reps and the training
that they really need in order to develop.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that was like one, real conversation that, I've had in Twitter Spaces, was like about last weekend or something like that, where you have all of these guys that, they're prospects, but they don't have the they want to push to be on TV so much that they don't really get the work in going in the gym. So they have like a lot of, downtime. And this is like coming off the whole thing with the lockdown where, I mean, you've had instances where gyms close permanently.
Yeah,
Hold
on.
So
I want to correct myself. Mike Tyson fought 16 times his first year.
16.
Yeah, he was also icing a lot of people, man, like first and second and third
15,
rounds.
my bad, 15, yeah.
15.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Was,
but even
but we're just saying, like, the point is just keeping it going.
Mm-hmm.
And you will find none of these on TV. There was no need for any of them to be on TV.
Yep, no need. And that in some cases you kind of like see that in some of these guys that are up now. Like for example, I speak with Jaleel Major Hackett. This had about 4 or 5 fights as a pro. And those fights aren't necessarily on TV. So it's like why is it that you don't have to have a lot of these prospects on TV? Yeah, you want to give them a high guarantee if they negotiate to have those type of contracts straight up the gate.
You got a lot of static in your mic, JB.
Oh yeah. Let me see.
Yeah, I thought that was me too.
Yeah, let's see how that works out.
Yeah. So if guys are excuse me though. Yeah. So if guys are not fighting a lot, like another case was that guy. He used to be with Mayweather Promotions. What's his name? He just left. Clever. What's his name? He was with Mayweather Promotions.
To be steady.
He's from he's a Haitian dude. He's from New York. They call him Little Africa, even though he's Haitian. He beat Malik Warren. He beat. You know what I'm talking about? He beat Malik Warren.
Mm.
Well, anyway, like he's the perfect example of a guy. He's not fighting a lot when she should be fighting a lot. He wasn't fighting that much, but a lot of things too, because you've taken the small hall promoters out of the game so much that, and a lot of them are with UFC. A lot of these promoters are doing UFC instead of boxing all over the nation. Excuse me. So that's why you see a lot of, like in Kentucky. I know when I look at their state athletic commission website calendar, I see weekend after weekend after weekend, there's a couple a couple MMA cards, I should say, not UFC per se, but MMA cards where guys are just, you may have one boxing card every 3 months or so. You want to try your mic now, JB?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to hear, but are you talking about Richardson Hitchens?
Yeah, Richardson Hitchens, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, now he's a guy, he should be fighting 4 or 5 times a year. I think, but everybody is so they seem like they can't make a fight without a TV deal. They can't go the old small hall route where you get on the ground, put boots on the ground, and you're able to sell 600-700 tickets to come see a guy fight.
Mm-hmm.
Or even 1,500 in some cases.
Yeah, and like
pretty much what like Mickey Bay and Tevin Farmer was trying to
do. Yeah,
I mean, they're trying to sell at least 600, 800. Yeah, nice little price. Get a packed house for some good fighting. But I don't know. Left, the game don't work that way, man. And then you got guys like, you just got promoters just pussyfooting around a lot, man. Because the networks who pay for the entirety tells you who, when, where, who they want to fight. Especially the good fights, but also good cards.
Crystal, I can see your messages, and like Boots. I like to joke a lot about Boots, whatever. I'm just putting people.
He's an interesting case, but he's next.
Something else here. But if you look at him, he has a lot of fights. Boots has 27, 28 fights. He was kept, even though he had that little break or whatever, the little break, but he still has a lot of fights. So he's been one that was kept busy. He was kept busy early in his career when he was with a smaller promoter, but they kept getting him fights. Sometimes it's best to go with a smaller promoter until a bigger promoter recognizes you, because a smaller promoter is going to keep you out there fighting.
Yeah, he'll keep you fighting. He'll keep you active. Keeps you busy. Not just inside the ring, but have you getting prepared in the gym and stuff like that too. So, I mean, that's one thing that I guess a lot of these younger fighters are missing. And yeah, I know that there's a lot more platforms out there available for these fighters to be on TV. But sometimes, like I said, you really don't want to see a lot of these fighters on TV that much. We almost got that thing where you have a couple of these fighters that be on TV, and you have like all these knockout streaks that you have. You talked about the thing there with Mike Tyson having that knockout streak, uh, and then building them up to be undefeated. And then we got to the point where he didn't get a knockout, but it wasn't like he was really struggling. But we did like see that recent example happen there with the top ranked fighter, and they had him there, string of first round knockouts, and then they matched him up against a couple of guys that were a lot more experienced than he was, and he couldn't make the adjustments in order to, not only, knock him out, but at least try to take him down later on in the fight. So it went like, the full 10 or the full 12, you know what I'm saying? So, so that's the thing about it, is that you got to watch it when it comes to matching up these young fighters or these young prospects and seeing what happens with those guys, because they end up like tripped up.
Hey guys, I got some on a topic that we like done left, but I was cooking my turkey burgers and I had to focus because I wanted to taste good.
It's like turkey burgers, man. Come on, man. You got to get the full-fledged hamburger. No, I'm just kidding. All right, what's happening?
Jared Anderson. So I think Jared Anderson is a good fighter. I think that he looked very comfortable. I think that someone said the word lazy. I don't know what context they use it in, but he was relaxed to the extent to where I was questioning that a bit. The thing that I will say, I can tell he has a pedigree. I can tell that he, is the goods and is that dude, right? At the same time, it didn't look like to me that his win was exceptional. I'm not, saying a negative part of here, but I'm just saying it appeared that he I don't know. It's something about his win when I saw the fight made me question if the fight went longer. Like, how would it be? Cleverly, you want to say something? Say something.
No, well, like I said, like yeah. Like I'm trying to decide what I want to say on that lazy word, because what I was seeing there was just like him just kind of like lazily come to it, but also at the same time, he wasn't fighting nobody. That guy hadn't fought nobody, and just that's what it was, man. And then you see how like fast when you put the hands on him, man. I mean, that was literally 2 minutes, man. It was all body work. Educated with his jab, all body work, man. He's got real power too. So it's kind of, I guess, an interesting thing that a big man can switch like that. But he did what he needed to do, man. But I mean, I don't care. Like I said, none of those guys fought anybody.
Yeah, he cranked it up when he needed to, but there were some exchanges where I was wondering if this guy was gonna catch him. Mm-hmm. Like maybe it was in between him switching, but there were some.
Nah, I ain't gonna say that. But even if he's tough, man, he's a tough kid. He's a tough kid. But the Hrgovic is nice, but like he's probably still 3 or 4 fights away from that too. But he could probably make a move. But the thing is, we haven't seen him, or he hasn't had that moment where he got stunned. We're like, oh shit, and he's got to get his marbles correct. So, right. About 3 or 4 fights from like a real step up. Well, he's nice because, like me, real fast, mm-hmm. Jay, like I want to see him and Danny Dubois go at it. I think that'll be an excellent fight, man, because Danny's come out of his loss with a new head of steam. He's always a come forward pressure fighter, but he's a good boxer too, and he tries to get you up out of there. But Big Baby Man is blessed, man. He's got it upstairs, so he knows how to box. That is. So it'd be a good fight, plus power, man, plus toughness. So like, I want to see that fight. I wouldn't mind that fight.
him versus Dubois. Him coming
I'm
off
just
that
saying
loss.
from the youngins. I just want to say, and then one more thing too, Jay. Like, man, yeah, like that part of my boxing brain's been going off for the better part of 6 months. Man, all these guys, man. You want to know what makes a good difference between different eras is when guys like sign the pact that they're going to be like, we're going to fight each other no matter what. A lot of these guys do want to fight each other, man, but like they some more let some bullshit happen. So those guys, I think if they, like some of these guys saying I'll never fight him, that French shit, like that fucks the game up. So they need to themselves make a pact and be like, we're going to fight each other. We're going to fight each other. And then I think more action on those front lines, if you dig what I'm saying, will happen.
Well, we'll have to see how that works out, especially with the constant involvement with the promoters, kind of like controlling the game there in that aspect. So we got to
Networks
see
more importantly, though.
Yeah, but sometimes even the networks aren't even strong enough to convince these promoters to make those fights. All right, wanted to get into that thing here, pay-per-view coming up Labor Day weekend. Headlined by Andy Ruiz Jr. versus Ruiz-Ortiz. Of course, Ruiz is the former unified heavyweight champion. I took on Joshua. I beat him. I became champ and very thankful. Yeah, but he ended up losing those belts real quick in a rematch. Had a turnaround bout against Chris Arreola. Now he's going up against Ruiz-Ortiz, two-time world title challenger for the WBC. Real quick shout out to the Android man, stepping in with the contribution on the live discussion here, and and we got this thing here with Ruiz-Ortiz. Said two-time WBC heavyweight title challenger. Of course, lost twice to Deontay Wilder. As we say, knocked the Sonic rings out of Charles Martin on January 1st, over in the Miami area. And so he's trying to get back in the mix in the heavyweight division. So I think this fight here is kind of like one of those eliminator bouts, so to speak, but not officially an eliminator bout, but I feel like it's partially an eliminator bout, particularly within the WBC rankings. I would say, because you got both of those guys in the WBC rankings in the top 10, and they could potentially be like an opponent for maybe a Deontay Wilder. If Deontay Wilder gets to this fight on October 15th at the Barclays Center, that he'll have against Robert Helenius. So I think this is a good little scrap here between Andy Ruiz Jr. and Ruiz-Ortiz. Andy Ruiz Jr., of course, is one of the more active fighters when it comes to hands and punch activity. But with Ruiz-Ortiz, he's kind of like cool, calm, calculated with his attack and stuff like that. And looks like Clever did kind of like read the live chat there. But going on this heavyweight bout, I think it's something here where you kind of like see who's going to stay within that top 10 of the heavyweight division there with Andy Ruiz Jr. and Ruiz-Ortiz. So that's why I got in there real quick. I mean, I got a good number of people that favor Andy Ruiz taking the win on Sunday night, but I had a couple of people kind of like pick Ruiz-Ortiz, and I was like,
I got Ortiz winning.
All right.
I've been feeling that way for a couple weeks now. Yeah.
Do you think it's because there might be well, two things actually. One, with Andy Ruiz Jr., he had his win over Chris Arreola, but even with that, he kind of got caught by Chris Arreola and got caught with down, so that could kind of like, I'd say give people, a little bit of an incentive to pick Ruiz-Ortiz, but Andy Ruiz did say like, that the key for him beating Ruiz-Ortiz is to break him down, to kind of like, stay patient, not really go for it right off the bat or try to go for it if you see an opening, but just try to
wait. Say that opening statement again, Jay.
That
key?
Andy Ruiz said the key for him beating Ruiz-Ortiz is to break him down. So
okay.
I think that he's trying to go at this, fight in, I wouldn't necessarily say cautious, but I would say calculating, so to speak.
Yeah.
So like how he does in this one. Ruiz-Ortiz, I know that, people in the boxing community have their jokes about Ruiz-Ortiz, but he's still, there as far as like relevant in the heavyweight division. And if he gets this win over Andy Ruiz Jr., he's still going to have that sense of relevancy there at heavyweight.
Back in the mix.
Yep, back in the mix. So, I'm just trying to figure out like who, like I said, I favor Andy Ruiz Jr. in this, but I guess you have a full, a number of people, like yourself there, Clever, that are favoring Ruiz-Ortiz in this. And maybe it's...
Well, like, for starters, I could see Andy winning too, and like he should win. But, like, I think he's just going to come out too fast, man. Right? And he's going to be trying to figure it out and doing his thing. But then, that old man still has that power. So I'm rolling with that. And he's also got the experience, and he also knows how to box as well. And then I think for Ortiz, it's just going to come down to a knockout or a knockdown to win the fight. Like he'll get a probably split decision. He's going to take a knockdown or knockout, but that's going to be his game plan from the start anyway, because he's banking on probably tiring out Andy. That's why I think Andy's going to come out fast, and the old man's like, all right, I'm just old man thinking, just try to tire you out to the end. And then, he's got the power to knock him out. So, or like I said, get that knockdown. If he gets that, he should win the fight. So Ortiz, baby. That's the day after my birthday.
Well, I have to see with Ruiz-Ortiz. The question for me is, are we going to see the Ruiz-Ortiz that was, pretty much getting outboxed a little bit there by Charles Martin and getting knocked down by a jab by Charles Martin? Or are we going to see the Ruiz-Ortiz that could, like you said, catch you off guard, catch you by surprise, and catch you with a big shot that'll either stun you or, knock you down? And I think that's pretty much what the key is for this bout between Andy Ruiz Jr. and Ruiz-Ortiz is where is Ruiz-Ortiz at this particular point of his career?
Well, again, Jay, and fellas, I think that's what he's banking on. I think he's banking on just going late with this guy, because he does know that he can't move as well, and he knows he's older. And he's really old, man. He's probably 50, damn near. Yeah, he's probably 50 or close to it. So, but again, I don't know, man. I don't take too much away from that Charles Martin act. Because of look what happened to Charles. Because of look what happened to Charles, and then B, he seemed to always be in that fight, right? Like he got up, got his wits. He was like, oh shit, I got knocked down. Okay, we got to fight. And then if you're a fan of Ortiz, look, man, that was pay-per-view, and he got first win of the new year. Everyone got to see him show out. So, and he ended in fashion. So I'm going with that again, man. It's a really good fight. It's a really, really good fight, man. It's probably gonna go the distance. Yeah, because
so
Andy's tough.
So my only thing that sort of makes me apprehensive to pick Ruiz-Ortiz is the thing that most people that have in common with Ruiz-Ortiz is that after you fight Wilder, your punch resistance seems to go down substantially. And I think that is what happened in the Charles Martin fight, is that Ruiz-Ortiz ain't the person who's able to take, I mean, like you said, he's older, but he ain't able to take shots like he used to because his punch resistance has been compromised. And that's no different. That's going to be the same for Tyson Fury. That's going to be the same for most people who get hit clean on the chin by Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder, and because people aren't meant to get hit like that. So I would think that I have to think about it a bit more on who I think will win the boxing match. But I do feel that if Andy get a good shot in, Ruiz-Ortiz is gonna get hurt, and he might get hurt often and have to sort of be fighting, playing catch up because his punch resistance.
I think Ruiz-Ortiz is going to win this fight. I think Andy is back on his BS. He's back on his BS. He's been out of the ring for what, a year and a half now? What, since
that Chris Arreola fight, man.
That was last November, wasn't it?
Last May.
May.
It was last May?
Yeah, that was
2021.
May.
Yeah.
May 1st.
Oh, stop. No.
Yep. Remember, this fight was supposed to happen by the end of last year, but because of Andy Ruiz's injury, it kind of like delayed this fight from happening up until this point.
Oh, that's right. He got hurt.
He tried to get a fight in with Triller, which he lucky somebody stopped him because he wouldn't have got paid. I just think Andy Ruiz isn't really focused anymore. I think he's back to being non-focused. I mean, of course, for these 8 weeks, he's going to be focused, but I think for the most part, he's not really been focused on boxing much. And I just think Ortiz is going to outbox him. I think Ortiz's problem was a long layoff, ring rust, and his age.
Yes, sir.
That's why I think why he was looking like that against Charles Martin early. But once he found his rhythm, it was over.
Yeah.
Now, I mean,
stop that guy, right? Stop that guy.
It's going to be interesting because Ruiz will be, in his what it would be his third fight, right? And it would be his third different trainer. He had the thing with Manny Robles, right? And then he, was there with, with Eddie Reynoso. And now
sucks.
Another one. That's going to be a whole other conversation about Eddie Reynoso.
He sucks. Everybody left him. Everyone who ever went to him left him. That lets you know he sucks.
But
it's all good though.
Yeah, but with Andy Ruiz, we got to see if he's like there around people that are cuddling him or cheering him on, or a basic cheerleader, and not having him really focus on boxing, because like he's supposed to be one of those guys that had been fighting since 6 years old. I've been in that game since 6. Well, we got to see if that translate in this particular bout, because if he loses his bout, particularly if he loses by knockout, that's going to be a real problem for him there in the heavyweight division, So, I want to see like how he kind of like fares in this particular bout here against Ruiz-Ortiz. And like I said, it's going to be a highly rated matchup there in the heavyweight division. You had like other fights part of this card. And listen. What do they have? Abner Mares in this thing against Miguel Flores, and that's going to be part of the pay-per-view portion of the card. Hey, I mean, if he could get in that way, Abner Mares could get in that way. Hey, let him get in. So we got Isaac Cruz against Eduardo Ramirez, part of this large card.
Jay, I got to stop you, man. Jay, I got to stop you. See, now you're trying to get him hurt. Man, look, he just shits and giggles and getting some money. Nothing wrong with that. Hey, and I'm cool with that if he wants to do that from time to time, because I love him on the telecast. But I mean, and then another thing is, look, man, whomever his experts and professionals are around him who signed off on this, obviously say yes. So I kind of left it at that when I heard everything for sure that he was fighting. But yeah, he's just fighting, man, and putting on a show. It's showtime, baby.
First fight in over 4 years, man. First fight in over 4 years.
Yeah. I mean, even though he did, when I say deserves, because he's a former champion, so he could get pretty close to championship level type fights, or even fight the champion. But no, man, he can't just come back and start fighting man, you get your block knocked off. So he's not doing it. He's just having fun. He's having fun.
We'll see how much fun he has in this one. But you got that. You have Raees Salim versus Mike Plania. Actually, I like that fight there. That Raees Salim Mike Plania fight is going to be a really good fight, and it's not on the pay-per-view portion of the card, which
That's
I really
terrible.
like. I know it's terrible, but at the same time, it's really good because it gives a lot of people the opportunity.
Not everyone. What's that comment, Crystal? Not everyone. What now? On what? What did I say that you didn't like?
I don't know.
But back to Reese real fast, man. Reese, Cool Boy and Reese should fight by now. That should be the next fight. He needs a title shot before anything else. I feel like his excuse me, I feel like his last 3 fights are like, he's fighting for the belt. So he needs to go ahead and make that fight. That's due. That's overdue.
Yeah, it's overdue. And he kind of like knows
He knows the plan, yeah, but like he needs the shot, man, by now. Like, yeah.
Well,
for sure.
I'd say this. If he gets through this bout against Mike Plania and Fulton, I think Fulton's going to be set up to have another bout though this year, and it won't be against MJ Akhmadaliev.
Of course.
Yeah, because Akhmadaliev is injured like 55 times this year. So I'd say, Raees Salim gets through this bout against Mike Plania. You got to put him in the ring there against Stephen Fulton.
Yeah. No, but like he earned his shot like 2 fights ago, if you ask me. But as far as like the WBA is concerned, but yeah, man, I want to see him in there. I want to definitely see him in there. He's out of Vegas, right?
Yeah.
That's where he fights. Okay.
Yeah,
Doghouse.
pretty much from Vegas. Yeah. So
him and Chop. Word.
Yep.
Word.
So,
Word.
Speaking of Chop, he's gonna be in in a part of a fight card that's gonna be in Washington D.C. That's gonna be October 1st, part of Beltway battles. There.
I know.
So that's gonna be a good little card there in Washington D.C. that I'm looking forward to. There, with a couple of guys that I'm familiar with and that have been part of the Boxing Source podcast. So that's going to be really good there. But chop that thing up there with Ruiz and Ortiz. But I wanted to get into the next big topic to me is the thing with Mr. Devin Miles Haney talking back and forth with the members of Ring Magazine. And saying like, hey, if you're gonna be showing all this disrespect as far as like me and my status as a talented fighter, then I might as well just give up y'all belt. I'm the undisputed lightweight champion anyway, but you ain't gonna give me, my credit. Well, hey, you might as well, keep the belt that y'all try to give me. You know what I'm saying? And it was like a good little back and forth that happened over the past few days. And over the course of that, he had a few writers or members of Ring Magazine get exposed to a certain extent, which was fairly enjoyable, to say the least. But it kind of like goes into what a lot of people have said in reference to the members of Ring Magazine, and particularly the person that kind of like owns Ring Magazine, is that they give a certain level of favoritism towards certain fighters,
Right.
But we'll see, how this kind of like turns out, because, hey, if you got certain fighters, like, for example, with the pound for pound list, if you got certain fighters that have lost a couple of fights and lost a fight fairly recently, and they didn't really remove them from the pound for pound list. That's kind of a whole different discussion there. Yeah, but for me, I think it has to be to a point where more of these boxers kind of like, call out some of these writers or columnists, because they actually have some type of pull when it comes to the sport of boxing, and kind of like gives attention to certain fighters and shuns other fighters that could cost him, a couple things. Could cost him fights, cost him money, all those type of things. So, for me, having more and more of these fighters like call these guys out, I think it in a sense is kind of like good for the sport, because it's like it almost is like how some fans react to some of those writers that put out this material that either favors someone or kind of like shuns someone else there.
Right.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I could rant about Ring Magazine for months.
I know, man. Devin should just. What I want him to do is, hey man, drop that shit and you're lineal, because that's all Ring ever talks about. So if anyone says they got to do something or they want a belt, they got to beat you. You're undisputed. As far as him and who was that old boy who was having a meltdown over there in Saudi? They threw the belt out. I mean, they can do what they want to do, man. We already know what the Ring is about, and I think you said something about Oscar. Yeah, that's the Oscar De La Hoya belt. Whatever. And then as far as everyone's pound for pound list, man, y'all can ball that shit up and set it on fire and watch it burn, man. Everyone's list sucks. I mean, everyone list.
Wait. Even my list sucks. And
everyone list sucks, including mine's and his, hers. Like everyone list sucks, man, because we're never gonna make it up. And like I think they got it all wrong, man. I think they put, that's just what I think. So whatever. We all know who the best boxers are. I think we do.
Yeah, I think we all can make that determination for ourselves. But there's still a lot of people out there, because it's been built into our heads since we were kids. Ring Magazine, Bible Boxing, and I'll be honest with you, the way this guy is taking that, where this guy, Dougie Fisher and Tom Gray have taken this magazine, is just to the lowest of the low. I mean, they've always had their ups and downs. They've Ring Magazine's been taking brides for years. That's in federal court, you can see that on paper. That's something that they've always done. But now it's just it's like they've taken this as their little personal. Okay, I don't know if y'all remember, but like their little personal. What's that YouTube show they do together? JB with Montero, Kim, and Dougie Fisher.
I don't even know that.
Yeah, it's like they've taken that YouTube show and made it.
Crystal, I'm like the Matrix though. You got all that smoke and you shooting at me, and I'm just you can't hit the boy. You can't get me.
Yeah, I have no idea what that show's named or whatever it is. I really don't pay attention to that, especially after what was it like? Steve Kim made a comment where he had like Mario Lopez on the show or something like that.
Oh, that's a different one. That's a different one. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I know we could go forever, man. We could go forever.
I mean,
those guys
it's
suck.
Like obvious, and the thing is that.
Is there anyone who's black who works there?
No, I mean Dougie, I guess. I think I don't know what he.
Oh, okay, that's right. Right. Yeah, Dougie's a black man. That's right. And he's married a black lady. Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, okay, dark skin, shit. No.
I'm trying to think of any contributors. And they got any black contributors?
They don't even got a Kenneth. Like that's fucked off, man. That's already fucked off. So I mean, there you go. and then you got some of those guys who are like the zone type niggas. Like they cover darts and hockey and bullshit like that. Like, come on, man. It's like I said, it's Oscar De La Hoya stuff. So it is what it is, man.
Yeah. I'm not gonna. I've said a lot this week on Twitter about what I had to say about this fucking magazine.
What happened now? What did I miss now? Oh my goodness! What happened? Just give me the short version.
Basically, Montero was talking. He got me blocked, and he was talking about me while I was blocked, and I couldn't see it. Somebody sent me a tweet, so I posted a lot of his old.
Oh, you roasted him. You put his skeletons out there before Halloween. Halloween. Oh my goodness!
Raping women.
You're sick. Oh,
yeah.
You're sick. Oh my gosh.
Well, they had to be
Oh
exposed.
man, so you had all them boys on fire, right? They're like, oh, lefty. That's hilarious.
They had to put them up there on blast there. So yeah.
Damn.
But that kind of like goes into, like I said, with some of the members there, Ring Magazine, that really they claim to be credible, but they're not that credible at all. So there's that. But yeah,
real fast, Jay, real fast. Serious question though. Like, I hear me still?
Oh, what's that?
Hang on. 1 sec. Oh, testing. You there?
Yeah, we all here, man. Like,
oh, my bad. My bad, Doug.
Like, come on, man. It's a podcast, man. You doing
well,
tests
no,
on
my
the
sound,
podcast?
my technical difficulties, mate. My bad. What was that? Yeah. So, serious question. I mean, like, I can get Dev's gripe right now, but do you put him on the pound for pound list because of the Kambosos win, or the reason why? I'll just come out and say it. Like, I give it so much hate because I think Undisputed is being used as a marketing tool as of late, probably for the better part of 5, 6, 7 years. So, but the question is, he's mad that he's not on the list, but do you put him on the list for the Kambosos win? Because I think Kambosos is trash, shit, garbage.
but when did pound for pound become about resume?
But that contributes though, Les. That contributes. It's not everything, but that contributes, sir.
For years and years, it wasn't really resume wasn't really weighted that heavy when it came to pound for pound. It was more like I just don't remember it. I remember it was more.
Well, again, sir. Again, like I said, it's a marketing tool. I came back to the space early this summer and was like, dog, like that's what they're doing. Like it's the 5x2 rule. You got 2 black dudes on there. You got 2 Asian dudes. You got 2 UK dudes. My point is, real fast. My point is though, they're trying to market them, and none of those guys can even draw.
Okay, so y'all remember when Roy Jones was number one? Was the number one?
Yes.
Pound for pound fighter for so long, right? And he didn't really have a great resume during all that run. What were they calling him on HBO, JB? What were they calling Roy on HBO?
Oh man, I forgot. I thought they almost like were going
up. The Undisputed is leverage.
They were saying Roy don't fight nobody, but he was still number one on pound.
Oh yeah, like
is that a blood reference?
Like he wasn't fighting Darius Michael Zuski or whatever that guy's name was or whatever it is. Yeah. But the thing about it is like he had already beaten like James Toney and Bernard Hopkins before.
Yeah,
those guys had their extended careers where they ended up being very successful after those fights. But you knew from a talent standpoint, that Roy Jones was pound for pound the best fighter out there. That you could pretty much see with his abilities that whether he was at middleweight, super middleweight, light heavyweight, or you could have put him down to welterweight, or as you seen him going up to heavyweight, that he would be able to perform to the optimal abilities to be able to defeat guys that are much bigger than he is. So he was like the definition of a pound for pound fighter because he went from middleweight up to heavyweight in order to be successful in those different weight classes that he moved up to, But it was the talent that kind of like brought him to be part of that pound for pound list. It wasn't the resume, so to speak. It was the amount of talent that he had. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like how, pound for pound was like viewed in a sense for like many people for a while before, they kind of like went into the things about resumes and stuff like that. So that's kind of like how that went. Wanted to like go into more topics that are coming up or more news. Like you had, of course, the update of Dimitri Bivol and Zurdo Ramirez. They had announced that they'll be fighting in November as part of a DAZN Boxing Championship Series. It's going to be a good little scrap, for that light heavyweight title. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that bout. That is going to be the first bout for Zurdo Ramirez where he's really going to be stepping up in competition or against somebody that's around his level. But one other thing that I was like that I found interesting is a conversation that was had. I guess it was like Fight Hype, whatnot, where they talked with Santos Saul Alvarez Barragan, of course, Saul Canelo Alvarez, and he kind of like said to a certain extent that he's rooting for Zurdo for that fight, but just because Zurdo could end up winning, that he'd be like, he's not fighting any fellow countrymen. And the whole thing with Bivol is kind of like scratch too, whether Bivol wins or loses. So for me, if you had Canelo Alvarez, who's scheduled to fight that Golovkin guy, and that also it almost seems like he's not going to be fighting again for the rest of this year, what does that mean for Canelo going into 2023? That's the thing I would like to know.
He's on weirdo shit, man. He's on weirdo shit.
Bro, we this is another thing. I talked about the same exact thing earlier too. Just like you talked about the weirdo shit. Yeah,
I heard a little bit about that, Left. Yeah, I heard that. You guys were wild, man. That was funny.
We on the same level today, JB.
Yeah.
I was wondering things. It's the same thing. Win, lose, or draw. What does he do after Golovkin? Because he said he's not fighting December. And Bivol really seems to be. He's not really too focused on Canelo. He wants to do what he's doing at 175 and become undisputed at 175.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if he and if I'm not mistaken, because he didn't rematch him immediately, Bivol isn't tied to a rematch clause, right? Did the rematch have to be immediate?
And and I don't see how it would be tied to a rematch clause. Like it would have had to been like something where it was agreed to before the first fight, because Bivol was the champion coming into the fight. So,
yeah, but Canelo still had a rematch
and he
clause.
won.
Yeah, and Canelo had a rematch clause.
Oh, maybe he did, but I mean,
I think it had to be an immediate
Canelo
rematch.
Whatnot.
Oh my goodness, man! Oh my goodness.
Of course, what some people are hoping for with Canelo Alvarez is that he continues his campaign at super middleweight and goes after one of those guys that would be at the top of the super middleweight division in David Benavidez, or someone like, well, I don't think David Morrell would be anywhere near that, but they're trying to see about a Jamal Charlo fight. Maybe a Jamal Charlo fight in Texas. Like if it's going to be like an event, then that would be an event to a certain extent.
I think he have better luck with Jamal Charlo. He better fight Charlo before he tries to fight Benavidez. If he wins and goes back, because Benavidez is a big boy, man. And when you get into those Morrells, those David Benavidez and shit, even Andre Dirrell, those are big boys at 168.
Mm-hmm.
And Canelo is not a big 168 pounder. That's why I don't think this Triple G fight is going to be a blowout like everybody think. I think this is about to be a great fight, and it may be. It's probably like 55-45. I might be swinging a little bit towards Triple G way. I gotta look.
Oh, come on, man! We can't have this. Come on, we can't have this, man. I can't.
It's just a lot of factors.
Okay.
It's just a lot of factors going into it. I mean, especially with Triple G not having to do the extra 8-pound weight cut at his age, which helps. And
but like that should be his natural weight class. Like he's really almost a 75 pounder, so he's been cutting weight for his entire career. So nothing new. But not only that, man, that guy's like he's close to 52.
Look, I'll put it this way: Triple G is
the guy's old as shit. The guy's old as dust.
Natural, super middleweight than Canelo is, right?
Yeah.
Hey, say it again, Left. Yeah. Say that again, Left.
Triple G is more of a natural super middleweight than
Canelo.
Yes.
I just said that. Yes.
Yeah. So now let me ask you this question: would you say Triple G is the best when they fight? Would this be the best 168 pounder that Canelo has faced?
Fuck no. Are y'all crazy?
Who do you
think? Fuck no. David Benavidez.
No, I said that Canelo has
faced. That he's fought.
Oh, yeah, why not? Like maybe like between that 1 to 3 range of like on his list. Yeah.
I mean, what? No, I think he was better than. I think he would beat Plant, Benavidez, Plant, Billy Joe Saunders, and
Oh, you mean?
Kelly
Oh,
Smith.
I thought you meant ever. You mean like kind of like currently? No, 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 no. That that guy's old. That guy's like close to 50. Come on, man. Like,
He's only 40 years old, man.
no, he's not. Go look at him the first time they fought. Go look at him the second time, and look at him now. He's more close to 46. Like, he's old, man. And what I'm saying there is just like, dog, like, that's nothing. Like, this is nothing. This is fucking nothing. He's not fighting. This is why I'm so hard on Canelo. I love Canelo more than you guys. Like, this guy's not fighting anybody. And just now, I'll tell you why just now he'll go back again. It's because he's over there fighting on an app. But it's guaranteed money. But like, dog, like, to get that big, not money, but just the whole Lollapalooza, like, you're gonna have to go fight a big name fighter. And you guys said his name, Jamal Charlo. You know, that's his second biggest pay-per-view ever, next to Floyd, because he's fighting an elite black guy. But more than that, this guy hasn't been fighting the best, man. I'm gonna keep tooting my horn. Like, this guy has not fought anybody since like 2017. I'm not impressed with anything. Like, all those Liams and Welshes and whatever the fuck they are, and some Eastern trash. Like, dog, like,
You're impressed with Bivol?
Bivol 75 is not Canelo's weight class. No diss, no beef, no shade. That's just
I know what I'm saying.
Class.
You wasn't impressed with him fighting Bivol?
No, he took an ass whooping. He took an historic ass whooping. And you know, I'm glad you asked me that, because I was listening to y'all earlier. Man, look, and this is why everyone keeps going back to that Floyd stuff. After he fought Floyd back in 2013, he realized, like, man, I tried my darnest and I could not hit this guy. So you fast forward 4, 5, 6, 7 years later, his upper body movement is probably if not the best, some of the best upper body movement in all of boxing, in all of weight classes today. The problem is his problem is a jab, and his body is still stationary because his feet are flat. They're center blocks. So anyone who's got a good jab and can go down to his body and bow, consistently and be moving, he has trouble with that. So you and whomever else was choosing that, you guys saw that early on, and everyone who put money on it, they saw that. So, you know, fighters like that. So that's why Bivol and y'all company were like, yeah, this is easy money, man. We're about to whoop this dude's ass. But in essence, 75 is not his weight class, so I give no shit. And like, this chasing to be great shit, like, it's all shit. Like, dude, we could have rallied behind you back in 54 and 60. You would have been the first Mexican to go undisputed in the 4-belt era. That's history. But you're over here chasing these fucking white boys and what? Like, dog, please. And like, I said this when I came back to the spaces real fast, and I'll shut up. Like, when I came back to the spaces earlier this summer, I said, you know what, man? He's probably getting closer to be over the hill while he's ducking smoke. That's the reason why. Because he's got that awesome upper body movement. He's plotting behind guys and knocking out nobodies. Those guys are shit.
J-Ro said earlier, he said, Canelo hasn't really gotten as good. He's just been fighting white guys.
I've been saying that. Like, man.
No, he said Canelo hasn't really improved that much. Second Triple G fight, he's just been fighting white guys.
Well, that's the issue, because he got his white people confused. Those are Russians, dude. No, man, not the UK slot. Like, dog, that's why he got beat up by Bivol. So, I mean, and then here's the most encouraging part. Yeah, man, come back down to 68 and fight this smoke. Andre just ducked Janibek to get in position to become a mandatory, because he can petition and get some good handlers and backing, hopefully.
Wait, hold on.
Well, let me finish. Let me finish.
All right.
Let me finish. And then you can rebuff that. He just did that to try to fight this guy. The WBA has a list of mofos who want to fight this guy. You got WBC and Jamal. You got Benavidez as well. And he's over here talking about whatever y'all said earlier about him and Bivol and Zurdo and bullshit. That's him ducking smoke. That's him ducking smoke and holding up the game. So I love Canelo, man. He's good, not great. An excellent fighter. But I'm going to keep calling your bullshit, man, just like I'm calling anyone else's bullshit. I'm getting tired. Like in these conversations, man, that was all shit. It was like, dog, are you serious? Like this guy, he's ducked. He's completely ducked, and that's fine. People walk away from big money, but you've been ducking. You've been ducking for days, man. So, and I love you, Canelo, but you're on weirdo shit right now. Like I said, take those pajamas off. It's 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Do something. Now you're about to go fight this 46-year-old, man. Like, and I'm gonna watch it because I like GG, but
I think that
whatever.
old dog got one. I think that old dog got one more fight left in him.
Yeah, it should be. And I hear you, it's gonna be a good fight, man, because those are good fighters. But Canelo should go ahead and get the W and call it wits, and then all those Canelo be talking shit. It's gonna be crazy.
What I'm interested to see is Canelo. You notice he's more of a spurt fighter now. He fights in spurts now. To see
no, Left. He's not fighting anybody, man. Those guys can't fuck with him.
He's fighting in spurts now. He's fighting in spurts. I want to see a triple G, even if he's not constantly jabbing or whatever. He could put some pressure on him to keep, like that's what Bivol did. If you notice Bivol, a lot of it was footwork pressure. It wasn't necessarily jab here, jab there. It was a lot of.
I respectfully disagree.
No, listen to what I'm saying. A lot of Bivol's pressure was just keeping Canelo moving. Just keeping it. Whenever Canelo wanted to take a rest, Bivol would turn it up a notch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he would counter. He would pretty much like counter with 2 or 3 shots and get in and out of the pocket and force Canelo to move, which he doesn't really like to do, especially at 168 and 175. He really does not have that lower body movement to really like kind of like
But gentlemen, he's 46.
No, that's
47.
What we're saying. We have the same conversation that me and you had with this Bivol.
Metaphorically, okay? Canelo was fighting like Adrian Broner.
To me this time, I'm just saying that I think I want to see if Triple G can force Canelo to fight 3 minutes round. Not necessarily, jab, but even with I think that's one thing that he does do with Canelo. He forces Canelo to fight more than other fighters do, where Canelo can't take these breaks and just wait for one shot.
Well, wouldn't that kind of go to my point of like Canelo kind of being more over the hill now? He's been in 60 plus fights, man. Like he's boxing old as shit too. But I respect what you said, brother. But like, I see that. But I mean, I saw Triple G as a late. He's old as fucking dust, man. So I'm expecting an awesome fight. And Canelo, no one's gonna get knocked out or anything like that because again, like this is.
I think this.
I'm telling you, man. Triple G is big. Really. Triple G is huge. Like he's a big guy normally. So, Canelo haven't gotten no one out of there since Avni Yerman, fucking Advil pill guy. But
Plant out of there.
Who's that?
He sent Caleb Plant to the canvas, man.
Oh yeah, but he sucks
and
too,
Billy
man.
Joe.
Stop. Yeah, both trash. Oh gosh. Look, and Crystal, I love Canelo. I'm a bigger Canelo fan than you, babe. Trust. Like that's why I'm talking about him the way I'm talking. I see her in there. I miss you. I miss you a wee bit, but
hey,
no.
But,
for some reason I can't type in the chat for some reason.
Well, we're on YouTube, my friend. We can chat, but we can't chat with them unless he has moderators in there and whatnot. But we'll get it popping, man.
There's a way to do it. But one thing here, first off, with what you were saying, Clever, this was kind of like one of the, I guess, subtopics of the boxing week is, Janet Beck and Hanuli being elevated to full WBO champion because Demetrius Andrade chose to fight Zach Parker
breaking up a wee bit.
Initially, there was a purse bid where Demetrius Andrade was supposed to be due about $1.1 to $1.2 million for fighting Zach Parker, but he ended up getting injured. So now it's all back to square one in reference to those particular guys fighting. So who knows if it's going to go to purse bid again, but if it does, chances are he's not going to get that $1.2 million. But he's still, trying to pursue being a world champion at another division because there was no one out there that would, want to unify with him. Of course, he had the little issue there with Charlo, but the other guys that were on the zone when he was on the zone, they wouldn't fight him. So that's a whole nother story. Now, the thing here with Canelo and Golovkin, listen to him, man.
It's a voluntary defense.
Canelo better destroy that man. He better put that man into retirement. I don't care if I'm a columnist. I don't care if I'm a journalist. I don't care if I'm a boxing photographer. Let me tell you something right now. I want Golovkin to be put out of the boxing game once and for all. Okay? People talk about Crawford
I
and
could
Spence
care less
supposedly
about
holding
your
up the welterweight
Canelo's
decision.
stance. Oh my gosh, Crystal.
Gennady Golovkin.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jay. I could care less. I could
I
care less about your Canelo's
I
stance.
want to just say that listen, we got to have Gennady Golovkin away from the boxing game. Yes, I did say that as a journalist, as a columnist, as someone who just does get media credentials, does apply for media credentials. But I'm here to tell you right now, I don't care when it comes to this particular fight. All I want to do is just see Canelo Alvarez put Golovkin out of the sport of boxing. That's what I want. It's just one wish that I have for this whole year is for Canelo Alvarez to defeat Gennady Golovkin and have that be Golovkin's last fight. That's all I wish for. That's all I wish for. Now, wanted to get into, I guess we have something here on the live chat. This thing here, what do I have on the Marv Nation? I guess it's Marv Nation Promotions is what one person is talking about, ran by Marvin Rodriguez, is in the news recently as they, or Marv Nation, won a purse bid when it came to the WBC Junior Welterweight title fight between Jose Cepeda and Regis Prograis. They won the bid with $2.4 million, well over any of those other people that bid on the fight, including TGB Promotions, Zanford Boxing, and Pro Bellum, which didn't even reach over $1.2 million for this fight, or $1.26 million. So looks like we'll have that promotional organization, Marv Nation, put up this particular fight. And so both of these guys are going to get a tad over $1 million. It's going to be split 50-50 with a portion that's put off to the side as a bonus for the winner. So, I mean, that's going to be very interesting to see how this particular fight is going to be televised or broadcasted and, distributed to the public. But I still think that's a very good fight between Jose Cepeda and Regis Prograis for this WBC title. That'll be the vacant WBC title. So that that's going to be a really interesting bout. That'll be coming up here later this year. So I think we're going to be closing off the year pretty strong here. Coming from October into December. I think we still have a few more notable fights that will be announced to the public that will close out the year 2022, and I'm definitely looking forward to that. So there is that. I know that there is a question that was posted on the live chat in reference to Mr. Gennadyevich Golovkin.
Yeah, I saw that.
If I started on that answer, it would make this particular podcast last for another hour. And I don't want to quite do that. So we're going to leave that tabled for the time being. That, outside of what I've kind of like discussed, the only other topic that I had was real quick, the thing with the comments over the past week and a half from former unified welterweight champion Keith One-Time Thurman, in particular, his comments with the conversation that he had with Brian Custer, the last stand with Brian Custer. And most likely that particular broadcast was done over in Florida or something like that, because, he did have Keith Thurman as part of the commentary team for the preliminary bouts that were like on Showtime. I think it was Showtime YouTube channel before that Figueroa versus Lipinets fight card that was on Showtime. But he's had that conversation, and a couple of things that he's kind of like pointed out, reference to him and his status in the welterweight division, is that he says like when it came to fighters like a Jerron Boots Ennis or like an Errol Spence, like when he picked up the phone, like neither one of those names were mentioned in the calls that he's had in reference to making fights happen. So I guess up to this particular point, when it comes to Keith Thurman, we haven't really had anything mentioned when it comes to like an Errol Spence Jr. or like how a number of fans want to see him fighting Jerron Boots Ennis. Well, I mean, if that's the case, then if Keith Thurman wants to fight this year, then who else is he going to fight? Yordenis Ugas? Because that seems like the name that he's kind of
nah. Ugas not fighting for a while, bro.
Yeah.
Stop.
And this is the thing.
Not with that one.
But here's my thing with Keith Thurman is that Keith Thurman with this status comes with a price tag. And, with that type of price tag, it's like, who are you going to put him in the ring with that could, make, him get his money, but you get a profit. And him, for him, it's more of like, oh, let me fight somebody that's either at equal status or where I know that I could get a good amount of money, and not really, lose out. Whether I win or lose, I don't really lose out overall. So it's almost like he's more so looking at potentially fighting a Yordenis Ugas, trying to get one of those world champions in Spencer Crawford, which he won't because that fight's going to happen, and or moving up in weight and potentially a rematch with Danny Garcia or fighting someone else at 154. I don't know, Clever. Maybe you're right. Maybe he's not going to be fighting this year because we're talking about a Keith Thurman, and it's a Keith Thurman that just had a pay-per-view, in February against Mario Barrios. So if you're going to have him in the ring again, it's going to be, another another main event that you're going to have to put on. So, and with his price tag, that would be like another pay-per-view. So,
well, I mean, real fast, Joe, I want to stop real fast. Like, I don't want my dogs barking. Hush, Shora. Damn. Like, look, like Keith can sell a little bit, so he's gonna get his whatever guarantee, and then he's gonna get a lot of money in the back end. That probably comes out to be a nice looking dime, and then the 154 Danny. I mean, that's the biggest name up there now. So Danny he's got options. So is the champion, and it's. Since the belts are all on the PBC side, it's a little bit of a timing issue and what's that? Just a little weight game, man. But Keith, the reason why he's in the headlines lately because A, that's Keith. He talks shit. He talks a lot. He talks. And then B, he wants a championship fight, man. And then obviously the two biggest names are doing what they're doing, and that's that. So, yeah. But I do expect I remember about a month ago around this time, I was like, I'm not expecting like Showtime to release a back half, like a big second half. They're just going to release kind of just motion pictures on the way, on the loop there. So that's what seems to be happening. And I like it. And that's that, man. That's that.
He'll likely fight Crawford because there's probably not enough money to pay Crawford to fight Spence.
No, there's plenty of money, man. Just Terrence, he just won't sign yet. He just hasn't signed. That's all.
That's me talking shit. I was talking shit.
Well, maybe he hasn't signed yet. Maybe he has. All I'm saying.
Based on what? Based
on usually when fights of this magnitude are pretty much like brought up or talked about, there's a lot of vocal vitriol or vocal stuff going back and forth between
Oh no. This isn't Twitter, Mike. This isn't Twitter.
Hold on. But when you don't hear much, I don't care if it's social media or not. When you don't hear much from either party about it, then that means something's happening, and that means something's going down. So, like I said, November 19th, and I'm gonna add this to it. MGM Grand Garden Arena. That's what I'm doing.
What was that date again?
Let
me put it on my calendar. I gotta circle my calendar, Jay. What was the date again?
November 19th.
Okay.
November 19th.
All right.
MGM Grand Garden Arena.
Damn.
So
I got dates.
That is what I'm putting down. Okay. So that would be the thing for.
We're already too late into 12 weeks from that timing now. So
that doesn't mean
I hope you're right, and
it doesn't mean much.
It's all good, mate. It's all good. I keep deferring to you guys.
When was Deontay Wilder, Robert Helenius penciled down for? October 15th, right? Are we like almost in September? When did they announce it?
Yeah, but that's that's different, sir.
That's Deontay Wilder.
You're right. No, you're right. Face of boxing. But Deontay had probably been. He's got a lot of rounds under his belt. He's been preparing for this for probably the more than 2 months now. So just because they released it doesn't mean like he just up and just no, man. He's been preparing for this for 12 weeks already before that.
I'll put it to you this way.
But look, like, go ahead.
Hold on. I'll put it to you this way. They could already be in camp. Like a lot of these fights that you see, especially now after the whole lockdown stuff, you really don't see or hear about a majority of the fights being announced until within 6 or 4 weeks before the bout takes place. That's
Crystal.
That's what happened. So
yeah.
So that's the thing about it. Now, hey, if you don't think there's going to be a fight, hey, I wouldn't blame you. Like I've had people on this particular podcast that pretty much said that the thing was all but shot down. But right now, it's almost seeming like you don't hear anything, from anybody that deals with these type of things. So what that says to me is that it's full steam ahead to try to make that fight happen. And for me, I just think that, hey, I just feel like it's there. And in our conversations that people have said multiple times that the fight is pretty much like.
And I haven't listened one time. I haven't listened to those people one time. I haven't listened to those people
you've had
one
your
time.
Hands over your ears talking about la 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 la.
Not even. Because guess who's been right? Guess who has been right thus far? So
okay.
I'll keep tooting that horn.
We'll see how that goes.
I certainly hope you're right, and that's what I want, man. But from the circles that I know and trust and talk with, they say that's not the case. So that's why I always preach a different story, different gospel. But
we'll see.
But that's neither here nor there. We can discuss that another time. But look, man, I mean, yeah. I certainly hope you're right.
Well, yeah, we'll see how that turns out here over the next couple of weeks. But once that thing goes down, all I'm gonna say is
look at Crystal. Look at Crystal, man. Look at Crystal, man. Look at her, man. I can see her right now. I can see her right now in her bedroom. She probably painted her toenails, listening to this, screaming.
See, on that note, we see, listen, because of what's going on in the chat, we will have to bring it into this particular episode of the Boxing Source radio show. Okay, we need to make sure that we hold down what's going down within the podcast here. I thank everyone for coming in and on this live discussion. The Boxing Academic, Clever, Lazy Lefty, and Crystal on the
Look
chat.
at her. She goes, "You not at that no bullshitting." Of course I'm not. I never said I was.
So
Where are you getting that from?
So with that being said, y'all, that brings the end to this particular episode. And like I say at the end of every show, folks, the point of boxing is to hit, not get hit, not understand and trade. On that note, folks, I'm out. Have a good evening, everybody.